Well guys, today on Garbage to Gold, we're going to show you how to scrap out a PC tower for all of the components that are good for recycling and resale and for gold and precious metal recovery. So this is an older unit. We get lots of different ones back for recycling. The older the better when it comes to gold recovery and for precious metals, as well as for parts that you can resell. So we'll walk our way through an old one, and I'll show you step by step where each piece goes, what you can do with it. If you choose to sell it for cash or keep it out for gold recycling, that's up to you, but we'll show you each step of the way. And then in a minute we'll do a newer model and just show you how much different they are and what can be done with these components as well. So let's get right into it. Let's figure out what we're going to do. You've got an old PC that's been given to you or that you've picked up somewhere, and it's time to turn it from trash into your treasure. All right, so each one of these is a little bit different. You just got to figure out what tools you need. The older ones are pretty much all a standard Phillips head #2 bit. And I always start by taking out the power supply unit. It's usually just 4 screws. So that'll unattach it from the back housing here, and then you just need to unplug all of the wires. Okay, so it should be some wires plugged into disk drives or hard drives, depending on the make and model. And then this will pop right out. And then this one's also attached to the motherboard. There you go. So, power supply. You can do whatever you want with these. This part here, yeah, you can sell this whole unit as it is for irony or to a place called boardsort.com. If you're ever looking for prices for the up-to-date, the most current prices for metal from a computer and from computer parts, boardsort.com is the place to go. They have up-to-date metal prices for all of the components of computers. Now what I do with it is I cut this in two. So I actually cut the copper wire just like that. Okay, so this goes in my copper wire recycling place, which I sell locally. I get about 65 cents a pound for insulated copper wire, and this is what this is. This is called #2 pour, where I sell my wire, but 65 cents a pound. And then this, I have a category called irony, in which case it's a combination of different metals, aluminum, copper, and some steel on the outside, some plastic, etc. I get about 12 to 15 cents a pound for this, depending. And I choose to sell it locally for that price as opposed to shipping it to board sort. Prices are almost the same anyway, so that's irony. Next, I unplug all my ribbon cable. And again, the older ones will have more of this than the newer ones. But okay, so ribbon cable, same thing. Very small percentage of copper. This is plastic, basically, with a hint of copper inside. Again, this is #2 pour. It goes for 65 cents a pound where I sell it locally. And this is just insulated copper wire. Nothing special about this. Speaker wires and power wires, all the same. There's some more insulated copper, #2 pour. I'm going to cut these wires. Like that. That's just all copper, insulated copper wire. You'll hear some guys tell you that you should burn that off and try to recover the copper from that. That's, well, it's against the law here, but it's also, by the time you burn that off, there'd be so little copper left over, you're taking your value out by getting rid of the weight of the plastic. In this one, you'll see that there is a disk drive, a small floppy drive. So I want to remove those screws. One more on the inside here. Okay, and this unit comes out just like that. So there's a steel case on the outside with the disk drive on the inside. Flip it over, you'll find a couple more screws. Okay, so you separate the two. So that's just regular, that's just steel. I have a local buyer for my scrap steel. I get 5 cents a pound for steel, so about $100 a ton. And that just goes in my steel pile for recycling. The disc drive itself, this one is an older one, so it's, apart from being really dirty, is mostly aluminum. It's an aluminum case, and then it's got this tin on the outside. Okay, a couple screws here and here, and then you can see that this tin will actually just open up, and the inside is an aluminum base with a lot of little parts. You have two choices here. You can either take these apart, which don't take that much work, just a couple screws here and there, and then you can sell the aluminum to your local scrap buyer, or you can sell it just like it is in that category of irony that I talked about just a minute ago. I'm lazy, and I don't have all the time I'd like to have to do this, so in my world, these go in the irony, but I know a lot of guys that'll pull these out and separate the two. You get a little more money for your aluminum. There's a little bit of plastic in there that was off of that disc drive that can go with that, or that can go in the plastic recycling as well. Next, we're going to pull expansion cards, and this is where we start talking about our precious metals recovery. When you pull expansion cards, there's just 3 screws across the top, and this is basically what an expansion card looks like. Older ones, older computers, needed expansion cards to run equipment that was, this is like where you'd plug in microphones and speakers and et cetera, and so they needed a way to communicate with the motherboard. That's a network card, right? A lot of the newer computers today don't have expansion cards. Everything's built right onto the motherboard, but this is awesome. This is what you're looking for precious metals recovery. If you go ahead and go to boardsort.com, you can see the up-to-date prices for what they call gold fingers, trimmed gold fingers. And that is basically where you just take and you cut this edge off of the card. And they look a little different, each one, but some of them have more or less. That's actually pure gold. It's very thin, and it's plated onto this fiberglass, but it's actually real gold. So when it comes to recovering gold from computers, one of our easy, sort of low-hanging fruit type places that's easy to get to and really easy to recover are those gold fingers on expansion cards. And I'll show you just in a second. Here, let me grab my pliers. All you do to recover these, or to get these off, is you're just going to take your pliers of some sort and you just bend them, and they'll break right along. There's a bit of a seam right there. They'll break right along there, and so what you've got is you've got a little small trimmed gold finger. Depending on the current price of gold, these fluctuate up and down according to BoardSort. Although I don't sell mine, these are what I like to process into gold for myself to keep. And if you want to watch the video on Garbage to Gold coming right up, you'll see how I take these gold fingers and process them into a little gold button. It's really easy to do. And if you're just starting out in the precious metals recovery and you want to get into making some gold or getting some gold for yourself from computers or from electronics, the place that I would start is with gold fingers, because they are probably the easiest to do. There you go, trimmed gold finger. Now, how you break that off there is completely up to you. Some people use a knife. I've seen people use a paper cutter. If you have a fancy type of workshop and you've got like a metal shear that will cut across that, you can do that too. Whatever it takes to just get that from there to there, and you separate it. So for me, once I separate this, I call this my high grade. I'll save these out until I have a bunch, and then I'll run a batch of gold and I'll process it and recover the gold that's in it. This board, now that I've cut the finger off it, this is a separate category. This goes in with my fiberglass boards, and I ship this to a company in Aurelia, Ontario, who buys these boards from me by the pound. Now, of course, I get a little less because I've trimmed the gold fingers off them. So if I was to leave the gold fingers on, you certainly can sell the board just like this, and you're going to get a little more money for it. You can trim the fingers, you can sell the fingers separately and the board separately, or you can leave them both together. I guess a lot of it depends on the volume of this that you get through and why it is that you're doing this. Are you trying to recover some gold so you can get some gold for yourself, or are you just trying to get some money out of the computer so you can go and buy your own gold or whatever you want? If you're going to sell the board itself, my guy at least wants the aluminum heat sinks taken off the tops. just because they don't want to pay you $1.25 for aluminum, which is worth 45 cents a pound, right? So basically that's an aluminum heat sink, diffuses the heat off the top of the board. You can sell this just right in with your regular aluminum wherever you sell your local stuff. It's all clean, so that goes there in the aluminum pile. Now, if you see these, this is basically a motherboard here, and some guys will take this even farther, and after they've trimmed the gold fingers from their board, they will go ahead and they will start removing, depopulating this board, and keeping some of the flat packs and some of the gold bearing material off of this board. There'll be another video coming right up in the next couple of weeks or so on Garbage to Gold about how to take something like this, and we'll strip off these flat packs and we'll strip off this pack here, and then we'll be able to process those for gold recovery as well. I don't do that myself. I sell these just like this. The process for getting these is a little more time consuming for quite a bit less return than I would like to have for my time and effort. But don't be confused. These do actually have gold bearing material in them, so that's why they're still saleable as they are. So for me, I sell them just like that. I sell them by the pound. I think the last time I got about $1.75 or so per pound once I had them shipped. So not too bad. And if you want to see the process for doing those flat packs and those black IC chips, then you just stay tuned and we'll have a video coming up. All right, so next down in here we've got some memory sticks. Okay, so a couple different things. I don't keep any memory that is less than 2 gigs right now for resale. Anything that comes out of a computer that is 2 gigs or more, I have a place in North Carolina that I sell all of my larger memory sticks to. But these small ones, these are 128s, and again, a couple different things. You can sell them just as they are. Check out the price on boardsort.com. You can trim the gold fingers off these as well, right along here. Okay, those gold fingers are the same as the expansion cards ones. I don't do that personally, simply because I feel I get better value for selling the memory sticks just like this. Again, stay tuned to Garbage to Gold. Another video coming up in the next couple of weeks where I will actually take one of these and strip it down, and I'll show you how to recover the gold from the fingers, which is the same as the other gold process, as well as each one of these little flat packs has gold bearing material in it. So we'll strip these off and those ones there, and then you can recover the gold from those IC chips as well. Personally, I sell these just like they are. I do quite well with those. eBay is your best place to sell them. You get your prices off BoardSort, but you get your best money, I've found, for memory sticks off of eBay. A lot of guys out there looking to experiment with the gold making process, willing to pay a little extra, maybe even a little more than what stuff is actually worth for gold value, so that they can try it out themselves and see if they can get the process down right. Not everybody has access to piles and piles of computers. Okay, so again, up to you what you do with those, but those are money in the bank. Next, we are going to pop the fan off the top of the processor. Okay, so it looks like this. In this computer, they look like all kinds of different things, depending. Pretty simple. Cut the copper wire. That goes in your insulated copper wire. And this fan has a little motor inside with some copper windings, so it goes in the irony pile, just like that. I get 12 to 15 cents a pound just for that fan and that outside housing. Next, we're going to pull the screws that hold the motherboard down. Okay, so there's what we have. We've got a motherboard, a little battery right here, a couple of aluminum heat sinks right here, and then you've got all these connectors here in the back. Okay, motherboards, again, I know I sound like a broken record here, but motherboards, again, can be sold on BoardSort, and they will fall into a couple of 3 different categories. Whatever, it doesn't matter what the category is that you sell them, just the price is different. They sort them on their end. But you need to remove the battery, first of all. Okay, so you need to take that battery out. and you can check it to see if it's a particular type of battery. Some have silver and nickel in them, and some don't. You can go ahead and check out another couple of videos on YouTube to discover which ones you may want to recycle, which ones you don't. For me, I don't bother with them. They go into my battery recycling pile. Okay. Then I need to have a flat screwdriver, and I'm going to pop this heatsink off of here. Little metal bracket, little metal clip. So once that's up, you got the metal clip, which is steel, and you've got pure aluminum heatsink. So wherever you sell your aluminum, that is that's just ready to go aluminum. Underneath, you're going to find the processor chip, and these can vary, or these do vary, not can. These do vary quite a bit depending on the age of your computer. This is what I would call a green fiberglass because it is green and fiberglass. It has pins, okay, so little tiny metal pins that are there. Those pins are all gold plated, and they fall into a completely separate category of gold recovery, this fiberglass with the gold plated pins. I will show you a video coming up on Garbage to Gold in the near future of how to recover the gold from these. Now, as with most things, you have two choices. Number one, sell it outright, take the cash and buy fancy shoes and funny hats or whatever it is you do with your money. Or you can attempt to recover the gold for yourself. These, for me, this is a sell outright category. I can get between $7 and $10 a pound for these on eBay, and I have recovered the gold from them before, and it's worth more money. It's worth more to just sell them on eBay. It really is. If you are into recovering the gold from every single bit of your computer, then we certainly can do this, and we will have a video that I show you how to do that too coming right up. Okay, so for now we just set this aside, like I say, or we can sell it. Again, eBay is your best place for those. But if you want a ballpark number and you're kind of curious as to what you should be getting on eBay, board sort is the way to go. Green fiberglass CPU chips. Okay. When that's done, all I have to do now is pop the aluminum heatsink off the center of this board. Okay. That goes in my aluminum pile. And then this board is ready to either sell as it is, just like this, by the pound. And there are several different places that will buy motherboards. Or you can set it aside, and again, like with the expansion cards, you can take these flat packs all off of here and pull this stuff all off of here, and you'll be able to recover the gold from those. Most guys I know, unless they're serious into gold recovery, are going to sell this just like it is. About $1.75 to $2.25, depending on the age of the board, that you're going to get for these when you sell them. Okay, so that for me, they go in my sell just as is pile. And the only thing left in here right now, there's two disk drives, CD-ROM drive and a DVD-ROM drive, it looks like. Those don't have to come out in my world, just because I sell the rest of this just as it is for steel. Okay, so it's got a little plastic front on it, which is okay. And the guy that I sell my steel to, that's okay. So I leave those right in. If you want to pull those out, you can, but I would just pull them out and throw them in the steel pile, and this whole other thing, this whole unit's going in the steel pile for me. So that's pretty much it when it comes to taking apart one of the older computers. And all said and done, I've always told people there's about $5 or so, depending on the current price of gold. You can get, like $4 to $5 total out of a computer, provided that it has all of its parts, all of its components, right? So if the hard drive's there, which this one wasn't, I see the hard drive was gone from this one. If the hard drive was there, the CPU, the CPU chip was there, all the copper wire and everything was there, you're looking at $4 to $5 total price, including the steel case, per computer that you can manage to salvage or scavenge. So this is a newer computer, and you'll see that it's a fair bit different. It's much smaller in form factor, a lot more plastic than metal. But we'll go through this really quickly because a lot of this stuff is the same, and I just want to show you the differences, some of the differences between the newer computers and the older ones. So this computer has a really small power supply. Okay, it also has some different cables, but these cables still go in with my just insulated copper. Okay, so that's the 65 cents a pound category. Call it number 2 pour. We just start out by unplugging all of the bits and pieces that you can reach and kind of getting them out of your way. This is a disk drive. Okay, so this is the DVD drive here. It's just held on there by a little blue clip. I pop this up, and then that right just like that, ready to go in my irony pile, 15 cents a pound. Okay, it goes over there. Once I move that out of the road, you'll see that I can push these two clips in, and I can pull up and remove the hard drive, okay? So it's plugged in on the bottom, a couple spots. Okay, so here's the hard drive. On this one, this is a Western Digital 160 gigabyte drive. Again, I don't keep anything for resale, for wiping and cleaning up, anything less than about 500 gigs right now. It's just the market for them is so small. So once I've popped it out of its caddy there, I'm down to this. Here's where you have choices. You can sell this outright just like it is if you have a trusted refiner. I would never sell these hard drives to someone I didn't trust completely, because I don't know where this machine came from. I don't know whose data is on this. I don't know what data is on this. And I would never want to sell this into the hands of the wrong person. So unless you've got a guy that you know is going to drop this in a shredder and can verify that for you and verify downstream destruction of this product, I would take this to the next step, which is disassembling and completely scrapping out the hard drives. They've got a board on the back, very valuable in the world of fiberglass boards and gold recovery. Okay, so you can check on board sort and you can see hard drive backplanes or hard drive backboards are a separate category, and they're usually twice as valuable, sometimes more, than any other of the fiberglass that comes out of computers. And stay tuned to the Garbage to Gold channel. I'll do a whole separate video on actually scrapping out a hard drive and what to do. These are almost completely aluminum, so there is some value here. But stay tuned. We'll do one of those as well as far as recovery of the aluminum goes. This caddy can be, if it's good, it can be resold on eBay, a couple $3 if you want to bother with that. If you're not going to bother with that, then you need to clip the copper cord and sell your cord for copper. And you need to take a hammer or a punch or something and break that middle fan out. The middle fan is irony, and the outside is plastic, and that goes in your plastic recycling. Okay, copper again goes in the copper. Power supply, so 3 screws. I'm gonna hold this power supply in here. Okay, so once you get the power supply loose, right, make sure it's all gonna come unhooked or undone. Okay, and it's attached to the motherboard, so you gotta unplug it. Well, he says unplug it and then can't get it done. That's the deal. There we go. So you want to unplug that power supply, pull it up out, and again, all I do is take my cutters, cut the copper wire off of it, like such. And this goes in the irony pile, 15 cents a pound. I know 15 cents a pound doesn't sound like a lot, but there's a lot of different electronic categories and electronic things that can be put into the, that's ribbon cable, that can be put into the iron category. And at 15 cents a pound, it doesn't take too long to add up and end up with some dollars in the bank. So this one, nice, 4 memory sticks, which is good. 4 memory sticks, and I quickly look at the size. These are all 1 gig sticks. So I don't keep 1 gig sticks anymore. 2 gigs and up is what I keep. So these will go by the pound. Basically, I'm getting, 25, 30, 40 cents, depending on the price of gold, out of each particular stick and how much it weighs and what size it is, etc. If you want to recover the gold from those, tons of videos on those. Okay, so there's what we're left with. Again, smaller size motherboard. A little different material, a lot newer, so you won't find as much gold on these ones. Okay, a couple screws is going to open up the heat sink. plastic on the outside goes in my plastic recycling. Now this heatsink is aluminum fin with copper, okay, on the outside. And what I'll do is I'll break this down and I'll pop that piece of copper off. You can sell the copper for clean copper, and you can sell the aluminum for clean aluminum. You get more. Or you can sell this whole unit just as it is. There's a category with my local recycler called heat sinks. And he splits the difference on the cost between copper and aluminum, and you get a number in the middle. So again, it's up to you what to do, but those are all just local scrap metal guys is where they go. Couple of screws, piece of plastic recycling. Okay, this unplugs the fan, and the fan is just held on there by a couple of clips across the front of this. So this can come off super gently. Okay. Now that you've super gently taken that off, that's irony. That's copper. That's plastic. We'll take the screws off that hold the motherboard down. And what you're left with, oh, there's a little piece of copper in there, I guess. Piece of copper. Okay, so what you're left with again is a motherboard with a heat sink here. This one's a little different. It's held on with some clips. It just comes off like that. Okay, and then you're going to want to pull this off of there, and then that's aluminum. This is the processor. Okay, so this processor is again fiberglass, but it's pinless. Okay, this one just has the little gold dots on it. Separate category altogether of what you want to, of the way you want to recycle the gold from those. So you want to set those aside into a separate pile. And all you have left is to remove the battery, put into your battery recycling, and that motherboard is ready to sell. Just like that. This piece here is down to just steel with a little plastic shell on the outside. That goes right into my steel bin, 5 cents a pound. And that's pretty much it. That's all there is to it. You can do that all day long. You can part out computer after computer after computer and just keep making up your piles. Some stuff you keep out, some stuff you sell. And after you've sold it, you can buy your own gold or buy your own treasure. So anyway, thanks for watching. Pretty simple video though. Just letting you know where to find and what's in a computer that's good and what you should keep out and where it should go.